Grillo graduated from Southeastern Guide Dogs in 2013 and headed home to Hickory, North Carolina with an affectionate black and tan Labrador named Veda. Ask Jeff about losing his vision, surviving 2 forms of cancer, living with heart problems, and overcoming a few other major life challenges, and be prepared for a positive attitude and an encouraging word. Jeff encourages people to get out and do what's necessary to reach their goals and live their lives. With Veda by his side, Jeff finds fulfillment as an author, blogger, motivational speaker, broadcaster, full-time minister, husband to Anna, and father to Joshua and Emily. As you hear his story, let it remind you not only of the difference that you're making in his life, but also in the lives of hundreds of other Southeastern Guide Dogs graduates. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Grillo.
She's got to wait till she finds just the right spot. Well, this is the most beautiful group I've ever spoken to, I'm sure. And this is probably as nervous as I've ever been speaking in front of a group because I was not aware of the schedule. I presumed I'd be eating after I spoke. I would not have chosen light colors. So for those of you in the audience who are sighted, please pardon my appearance. I am under construction. So it's an honor and a privilege to be here. It's kind of hard for me to believe. I guess I'm at that age where time flies. Remember when I was a kid and the weekend seemed a million years away, and you hear your parents always talking about how fast life goes by, and I guess I'm at that age now, because it's hard to believe it's been almost 2 years since I was a part of graduating class 222. The only reason I remember that is because it's a repeating series of the same number. It was kind of an interesting thing for me to even come to Southeastern. I'm a person who lives heavily in the realm of denial, and there is a chapter in my first book. It's actually titled, well, the chapter title is called "Denial is a Good Thing," and I've learned to embrace it, and it's got me through a lot of things and kept my head in the right place for the most part. But when it was suggested to me during a visit from Services for the Blind up in Hickory, North Carolina, recently voted one of the 10 most miserable places in the United States. I don't get what the problem is. It looks like a nice place to me. But at any rate, I sat there with my counselor, and he had suggested, well, is there anything else you need? I'm like, oh, no, not really. Got it under control. Got my white cane. He says, well, have you ever considered a guide dog? I said, no, that's for blind people. Because again, I'm in denial. And I could show you a number of bruises on my body and dents in my walls to prove that I don't believe I can't see sometimes. So it took a lot for me to kind of, almost a year of contemplation to decide whether or not this was for me. Because number one, I had to get past that level of denial that I was, firmly ensconced in, and then I had to also get my head wrapped around the idea of trusting my life to a little furry guy, or in this case, a little furry girl. And it wasn't, about a year into that we finally, and when I say we, it wasn't just my decision, it was kind of mine initially, obviously, but then we had some family discussion time, because not only did it involve, having an animal, amazing and beautiful as she is, with us everywhere we go, but also it involved Daddy being away for an entire month. And that was tough, because I love my kids, and I love my wife, and it was a challenge to get past all that. But the decision was made, and I came here, and quickly, a lot of thoughts was a little nervous. I kept it to myself a lot of times, but you ask my trainers, and they probably secretly voted me most likely to whine out of class. But I got through it, rose to the challenge, as is my custom, and I'm so glad we did. There was one little funny story that I'll tell you about training, and I hope and pray this hasn't happened to any of the graduates here today, but if it did, I'm sure you will let me know afterwards. But Joe Menendez was my initial trainer, and the one that actually trained Veda. And right smack dab in the middle of class, he decided to go on vacation, which I'm sure was lovely for him and his family. However, Veda, I don't know if you know this about, I don't know if it's a dog thing in general or labs or what it was, but she knew the deal. This goofy guy with the goatee that was hanging onto her harness didn't have a clue what was going on. And she wasn't quite sure about the new guy, Raymond. So we found ourselves at Sarasota Mall. And I was probably one of the last ones in the building because we were trying to do, I won't say the words, and there's a lot of dogs here, I don't want to give the wrong signal. After Renaissance Day in Southeastern forever. But you know what I'm talking about. We tried to get her to relieve, and she wouldn't. So finally, we thought, this doesn't have to go. So we went inside, and while we're walking, and Raymond and I are talking, I'm realizing, why is Veda slowing down? Like, come on, I'm talking on her thing. And after a few moments, Raymond turned around and, well, being in full-time ministry, I can't exactly say what he said. It wasn't too bad. But we were basically doing the puppy walk of shame of the mall. Thankfully, and I know this will be valuable information to those of you people who are graduating today, it has not happened since. She learned, I learned, we all learned a valuable lesson that day, but we've pressed on. And since we've gotten home, it's pretty neat. I tend to be very politically incorrect. Background in radio has destroyed me. Even in ministry, I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut sometimes. But it was kind of a little goal of mine to take her as many places as I possibly could where a dog would be a problem. And it was fun. It also became rather aggravating and shocking to me that there are that many amongst us that apparently are still mouth breathers. So it was, we stopped doing that, but we occasionally run into folks that are a bit challenging. I say all the time, we're all God's special little creatures, just some a little more special than others. However, I just wanted to let you know, just the students here, the people that work and volunteer for Southeastern, donors and potential donors, that it has been an amazing ride, and I'm very thankful. She's only 3, and we've got plenty of time ahead of us to continue the journey and continue experiences. One of the coolest things beyond the obvious, I can sit here and talk about freedom and being able to go places I wasn't able to go before, or the fact that, when I was out by myself with a cane, and occasionally even with my GPS for the blind, I still, on an occasion, would find myself lost. That doesn't happen anymore, because even when I don't know what's going on, Veda knows the way home. And simply tell her, find home, and she goes to work, and we get home. And it's been an amazing thing. But one of the cool things is, and I'm not an introvert by any stretch of the imagination, but since losing my sight more and more, it's been a long and gradual process, but I find myself not having interaction with people a whole lot. I find myself talking to people who are clearly not interested in talking to me, or are looking the wrong way, or as we discovered in a hotel in Knoxville, Tennessee, not that long ago, I was sitting in what I thought was a big empty breakfast area, and a guy says, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, good, how are you?" Nope. Talking to a guy that I didn't notice to my left, so I just did the head hang of shame and continued on my breakfast. But having of new friends and have a whole lot of new opportunities to interact with people. And mostly they're all good. Your nerves may get tried a little from time to time, especially in malls. Children don't know they're not supposed to touch puppy. And I hate telling them no, but it's so cool when you get the kids, even the little ones, that'll come up and approach, and one will be reaching for the dog, and maybe there'll be a slightly older brother or sister that'll say, no, that doggy's working, can't touch. And it's just kind of cool. One of my wife's favorite, or maybe least favorite stories is happened at Great Clips, because I like to invest in my looks. At the expense of their We're sitting in a crowded waiting area, and hopefully I do this story justice, but the woman was coming up, and simultaneously as she's calling my name, she's apparently also noticing Veda. To which, but this is what I hear. Jeffrey, oh, how cute! I couldn't resist that one. Far be it for me to let an opportunity go by, I immediately chimed in with, oh, I'm not that cute. And needless to say, the reaction in the Great Clips was pretty much what I just got here. So, you talk about an icebreaker. The amazing creation that's by your side now is not only going to serve you in terms of safety and independence, and laughter and interactions with your fellow humans, but the love that they give is amazing. As a person in full-time ministry, I find myself, I don't go around crying all the time, but you can't help but have days where you have to grab carpet and lay on your face before God and cry out. And I discovered Veda doesn't like that. And it's so hard to stay focused on praying when suddenly you have a dog running around, frantically licking the back of your head, nudging you with her nose, and then flopping over on her side, wanting her tummy rubbed, and pressing up against me to try to distract me from whatever it is she thinks is horribly distressing. So, know also that this guide dog that you now call best friend is also going to, not that any of you need therapy, but it's the best therapy. And I'm okay with therapy. 20 more milligrams, it'll all be okay sometime. Needless to say, this is much cheaper and, doesn't go on your permanent record. One thing I want to talk about is, another reason I had hesitated coming here, and don't be offended, is, I don't know any of you, but my experience has been I've never really liked blind people very much, even though I are one. And here's why. It has nothing to do with the fact that they're disabled. I don't discriminate at all. But sadly, and I say that because I learned very differently, being amongst a pretty dynamic group of the class of 222, and I'm sure you guys in 236 have experiences too. But it seems like people I've ever run into, my luck of the draw has always been kind of people that felt sorry for themselves and felt like they were victims. And it's my experience, there's basically two kinds of people, not only within the blind or any other disability group that's out there, but it's kind of a human condition in and of itself, is that you have two classes of people, victims and victors, I call them. And, I know people, and one individual in particular who's pretty much my age, I'm in my mid-40s, he's never lived on his own. He's never experienced, going out and going to school and higher education, and pursuing a career. Never had a family. Basically, his world is his computer, and his attitude is, I'm blind, what can I do? But this class, by virtue of the fact that you had to make a decision that you wanted something better out of life than that, impresses me, even though I haven't met you yet, hearing your stories briefly at the beginning, and knowing from experience what you've had to go through to make the decision to come here and do the hard work to overcome a challenge that has far too many people sitting in front of their computer dreaming of independence when you guys had the courage to go out and go after it. So, understand that moving forward, you need to hold firmly onto the victor mentality. And I'm not here to scare you, but there will be days you will question your sanity. There will be days, because there was days I've had when it's 20 below and snowing outside, and puppy has to go outside, and I think, man, I never had to walk the cane. But the cane never comforted me when I cried. So there's a trade-off and a huge payoff. But challenges will come. And just like you've overcome the challenge that you've been dealt in life in the first place, coming here, feeling my pants getting pulled down. Down. I have her hooked to my belt and I climb my pants. Stop willing them down, whoever it is. So, where was I? Right there, yeah, losing your pants in a crowd is nightmare I was having. So, you'll need to hang on to that victor mentality moving forward for sure. And it's easy. We all do it. It's a human condition. Being a Messianic rabbi, we study Torah a whole lot, and whether you're, a Christian or a Jew or you have no particular belief, we've all heard the story of Moses and the Israelite people and their exodus out of Egypt and heading to the Promised Land, and the stories of them complaining, even though they have seen God do amazing, miraculous feat after amazing, miraculous feat, they still would complain and would have to pay a price for that complaining. And it's easy for us to judge from this side of history and say, wow, what is wrong with those people? But then, how often do we find ourselves in the midst of our blessing and in the midst of good times, finding something, no matter how big or how small, to complain about? There's a very famous story, and I'll share this real quick. And I don't want anyone to think I'm anti-Semitic. I'm a quarter Jewish, just for the record, so I'm not making fun of Jews. Again, I are one, at least part. But there's a story of a Jewish grandmother who was walking on the beach with her grandson. And they were having a lovely day, nice conversation, when suddenly a rogue wave came from out of nowhere and snatched her grandson from her side and swept him out to sea. And in a moment of panic and despair, the grandmother looked towards heaven and said, Adonai, I know I've not been such a good Jew. I haven't read Torah like I should. I don't go to synagogue, maybe not so much. The mitzvah, the good deeds, the commands, I could do better. But maybe this one time, perhaps, you could see it in your goodness to return my grandson to me. And suddenly, no sooner than she finished the request, another rogue wave came and deposited her grandson alive and well by her side. And she stood a moment and she looked him up and down, turned and looked heavenward one more time and said, "You have a head?" So we use comedy to illustrate that it's easy to complain. It's easy to be a victim. And you know what? If you find yourself having a moment, it's okay. Just don't stay there. Remember what got you to this point and continue to press on. And together, you and your guide dog, your new other half, will do things that will impress and amaze you. just conclude, and don't be fooled by the measure thing. This usually means I got another hour to go. I'm actually concluding. Just a heartfelt thank you to all Southeastern staff, volunteers. The difference you've made in my life, and I know the difference you've made in the lives of all the classes that have come through your amazing organization, have forever been changed in a positive way. The joy, the love, the companionship, the safety. Yeah, it's hard to put into words. It's hard to quantify it in a tangible way. But on behalf of myself and my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. To donors and potential donors, you're considering whether or not this organization is worthy of your funding. And I can tell you that my experience has shown there's a lot of charities, a lot of organizations, a lot of places you can invest in financially, with your time, with your prayers. And there's many good organizations. But speaking from personal experience, I can't think of a better place to invest in than in a place that so invests in people who otherwise, I hate to say it, but we can be easily forgotten and overlooked. The disabled, challenged, whatever you want to call us, it's easy to think, they or we or somebody else's problem. Too bad for them, best of luck. Or somebody else, some other organization will rise to the challenge and help them out. But you know what? This organization, from day one, in one of the meetings we had, it just impressed me that the CEO, Titus, showed up, and didn't just show up and say hi and, standoffish and walk through. He sat down, he talked with us as a group. He made an effort. It seemed like every time I passed him in the hallway, he wasn't just, hey, how's it going? He'd stop. Is everything okay? Is there anything you need? Anything we can do for you? Just let us know. And from Titus all the way down to, people just volunteering that were new to the organization, the love, the excitement that they shared and made each of us feel so comfortable. It was just a beautiful thing. There's ministries I've been involved with in the past, current one excluded. I've learned a lot about showing love the way that this organization does. And speaking for myself, there's absolutely no way on earth I ever could have afforded to be able to purchase a dog. This would have never happened if it wasn't for the kindness and generosity of strangers who, moved by love and compassion, found it in themselves to do such an amazing thing for people they may never have met. So, on behalf of myself, and I'm sure the graduates of this class, from the bottom of all of our hearts, thank you. Thank you for what you've already done. Thank you in advance for what you may consider to do. And I just encourage you all to use social media, use whatever means necessary to let everybody know about this organization and the amazing things it does for people and the lives that it changes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for making a difference.
and enjoy the rest of your day.